The summer of 1945 marked the end of war in Europe, as jubilant crowds filled the streets and headlines declared victory. The world exhaled in relief, celebrating the defeat of Nazi Germany after years of unimaginable suffering and loss. Yet, even as Europe rejoiced, another battlefront remained fiercely contested. This is the story of the deadliest force on Earth. In the Pacific, the conflict raged on with unrelenting ferocity. Fierce battles on remote islands, brutal fighting in dense jungles, and the relentless push of Allied forces toward the Japanese mainland defined the final months of the war. The Allies braced for a costly invasion of Japan, but they were expecting massive casualties on both sides. Military planners feared that the coming battles would do nothing. Was there another way? In the deserts of New Mexico, a secret project was nearing completion. The Manhattan Project, a gathering of the world's brightest scientific minds, had produced a weapon unlike any before, a force capable of reshaping history in an instant. On August 6, 1945, as the sun rose over Hiroshima, the Enola Gay B-29 bomber took flight carrying a single devastating payload. The crew prepared Little Boy, the first atomic bomb ever used in warfare. In seconds, a city vanished in a blinding flash. The atomic age had begun. The explosion unleashed a force of destruction never before witnessed, leveling buildings, igniting fires, and leaving tens of thousands dead or injured in an instant. News of Hiroshima stunned the world. Across continents, people struggled to comprehend the scale of devastation, and leaders everywhere realized that the rules of war and peace had changed forever. Atomic energy, once the stuff of science fiction and theoretical physics, was now a terrifying reality. The power to destroy entire cities lay in human hands, and the implications were both awe-inspiring and deeply unsettling. 3 days later, Nagasaki was struck by a second bomb, confirming this was no isolated event. The world watched in horror as another city was reduced to ashes, and the true destructive potential of atomic weapons became undeniable. The bombings forced a sudden end to the most destructive war in history, but cast a long shadow over the future. Japan surrendered, and the world was left to grapple with the consequences of this new power. The world now knew a single bomb could destroy a city. The images of flattened neighborhoods and scorched earth became symbols of both victory and warning. The peace that followed was fragile, haunted by the knowledge of humanity's newfound power to destroy itself. Survivors, known as hibakusha, bore witness to the horrors and carried their stories into the future, urging the world never to forget. The story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is not just about war, but a turning point for all humankind. It is a story of loss, resilience, and the urgent need for reflection on the choices we make with such power. The world would never be the same. The atomic bombings marked the dawn of a new era, one defined by both hope for peace and fear of annihilation. The bombings ended one conflict but began a new era of uncertainty. The Cold War loomed and nations raced to build their own arsenals, forever altering the balance of power. The atomic age had arrived and its consequences would echo for generations. Debates over nuclear weapons, arms control, and the ethics of science would shape the decades to come. Humanity had crossed a threshold it could never uncross. The legacy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki endures, a stark reminder of both our capacity for destruction and our responsibility to choose a different path. The path to Hiroshima began in European labs, where the world's leading physicists were unlocking the secrets of the atom. In the 1930s, a wave of scientific discovery swept across Europe as researchers delved into the mysterious forces that held matter together. It was here that scientists first discovered nuclear fission, the process by which splitting the nucleus of an atom could release an enormous amount of energy. This breakthrough would soon have consequences far beyond the laboratory. As the shadow of war spread across Europe, the fear that Nazi Germany might harness this new power first drove a group of scientists, including the renowned Albert Einstein, to take action. They wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning him of the potential for a devastating new weapon. Roosevelt responded swiftly, launching the top-secret Manhattan Project, a massive, unprecedented effort to build an atomic bomb before the enemy could. The stakes could not have been higher. Under the leadership of physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer and General Leslie Groves, the project brought together some of the brightest minds in science and engineering. They worked in secrecy, scattered across hidden cities in the United States. Billions of dollars were poured into the effort, Entire towns like Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Los Alamos, New Mexico, sprang up almost overnight, built solely to support the project's urgent mission. The science behind the bomb was revolutionary, a self-sustaining chain reaction that could unleash energy on a scale never before seen. Every calculation, every experiment brought them closer to a weapon that could change the world. Two bomb designs emerged from their work, one using uranium, the other plutonium. Each presented unique technical challenges, requiring new methods and unprecedented innovation. On July 16, 1945, after years of relentless effort, the first atomic device was tested at the remote Trinity site in New Mexico. Scientists and soldiers alike held their breath as the countdown began. The explosion exceeded all expectations, lighting up the desert sky and confirming the bomb's terrifying power. The world had entered a new era. The race was over, the bomb was real, and its existence would forever alter the course of history. As the world watched in anticipation and dread, the consequences of this achievement loomed large. The power to destroy entire cities now rested in human hands. The Manhattan Project had changed history, marking the dawn of the atomic age and reshaping the fate of nations forever. With the bomb ready, military and scientific leaders chose Hiroshima, a major military and industrial center, as the first target. The city's geography would amplify the blast, maximizing destruction. On August 6th, residents went about their day, unaware of the fate awaiting them. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb detonated, creating a fireball hotter than the sun. People near the center were vaporized, buildings flattened for miles, fires swept the ruins, and tens of thousands died instantly. Survivors, the Hibakusha, faced horrific injuries and the unknown terror of radiation sickness. In seconds, Hiroshima became a wasteland. The world saw the true power of the atom, more terrible than anyone had imagined. The human cost was staggering, and the scars would last a lifetime. The age of nuclear weapons had begun. After Hiroshima, Japan hesitated to surrender, unsure what had happened. The US prepared a second strike. On August 9th, when clouds obscured the original target, the bomber diverted to Nagasaki. Nagasaki, a vital port and shipbuilding center, was nestled in valleys that partially contained the blast. The bomb detonated over the Urakami Valley, missing the city center but still causing massive destruction. Thousands died instantly. Entire neighborhoods vanished. The city's large Christian community was devastated, with the Urakami Cathedral destroyed. Survivors wandered through chaos and fire, searching for loved ones. The horror echoed Hiroshima's devastation. Two cities 3 days apart had been forever changed. The world could no longer ignore the bomb's reality. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, combined with the Soviet Union's sudden entry into the war against Japan, shattered the last remnants of Japanese resistance. The devastation was overwhelming, and the Japanese leadership realized that their nation faced complete annihilation if the conflict continued. Emperor Hirohito, after much deliberation and against the wishes of some military leaders, intervened directly. He recognized that another attack would mean not just defeat, but the total destruction of Japan and its people. His decision was unprecedented and marked a turning point in Japanese history. On August 15, 1945, the Japanese people heard their emperor's voice for the very first time. In a historic radio broadcast, he announced Japan's surrender, bringing an end to years of war and unimaginable suffering. The nation listened in stunned silence, many weeping openly. The war was finally over, but the world that emerged was forever changed. Cities lay in ruins, families mourned their losses, and survivors faced an uncertain future. On September 2nd, Japan formally surrendered aboard the USS Missouri, in a ceremony witnessed by representatives of the Allied powers. This moment marked the official end of World War II. The atomic bomb had ended the war, but it also ushered in a new era of uncertainty and fear. The world now understood the destructive power humanity had unleashed. The United States now possessed a weapon of unimaginable power, one that would forever reshape global politics and military strategy. The balance of power had shifted overnight. The Cold War loomed on the horizon as nations grappled with the implications of nuclear weapons. The debate over the bomb's use, its morality, and its consequences had only just begun. The mushroom clouds over Hiroshima and Nagasaki marked both an end and a beginning, a symbol of both devastation and the hope for renewal. Around the world, people celebrated the arrival of peace. yet many also feared what the future might hold in this new atomic age. The legacy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki would echo through generations, serving as a powerful reminder of the cost of war and the urgent need for peace. The decision to use the atomic bomb remains fiercely debated. Some argue it ended the war and saved lives, others say Japan was already near collapse. The bomb's moral cost, targeting civilians with such a weapon, still haunts us. The Hibakusha, survivors of the blasts, endured lifelong suffering and discrimination. Their stories remind us of the true cost of nuclear war. Today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki are vibrant cities, but also living memorials. The Genbaku Dome and Peace Park stand as reminders of destruction and hope. The story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki warns of humanity's destructive power and its resilience. We must remember and strive for a world free from the shadow of the bomb. This is a story we cannot afford to forget. Thank you for watching. Contribute to the conversation and keep it going. This is History Icebreakers.